There are only 3 ways to make money in real estate. Number 1, you can do wholesale. Number 2, you can do fix and flips or development. Number 3, you can buy and hold to build a long-term portfolio. That's it. Everything else is a service or some form of these 3 options. But most people only see themselves as working within one of these 3 categories. With creative finance, you have the ability to master all 3. Creative finance amplifies your opportunities because you can solve more problems than a competitor who only uses cash and other one-trick ponies who tread water in this business. Here's the other good news. You don't have to be an expert to get started. With creative finance, you can get started faster, but you can also improve over time. This is because every time you do a deal or learn a new skill, you can add another tool to your toolkit. Can you find another way to locate a seller's bunnies and solve their unsolvable problems? Honestly, for me and many of my peers and students, it's an addiction. I can't help but see distressed properties when I ride around or see problems that can be solved with creative finance when I pick up the phone. I became an expert after I started to generate leads. Like baseball, it's all about how many times you get up to the plate. The more opportunities that come across the plate, the better you get. We'll go over 5 ways to find deals a little later in Chapter 7. But for now, just know that if you don't have leads, you don't have a business. As you start to develop leads, you can start to dominate your local market. When Eileen first started helping me close creative finance deals, I started to share those secrets on social media. I was amazed that I had never heard of these methods, and so were many of my early followers. It got to the point where I could pull up in front of a house, share on social media that I was about to go in and talk to a potential buyer, and the competition would message me and say, I was there 3 days ago. I wish you weren't going in behind me. They knew I had more tools in my toolkit and had a better chance of solving the seller's problem to close the deal. Every potential deal is a job site. If you show up with a hammer, you're just looking for nails. The hammer is the wholesale buyer. They've got cash and a lowball offer, but that's it. Some buyers take the offer because they really need the money, but others might be open to terms, especially if you explain how it works to them. Like you and me and many of my early followers, they've never heard of any of this before. You need to explain it simply so they know it's a win-win for both parties. If you just show up with a hammer, all you can do is pound nails. But if you have a hammer and a screw gun and an air compressor, you can handle multiple types of jobs. I can do X, Y, and Z because I'm here to solve all sorts of problems. I'm not trying to adapt a seller to the one thing I do. No one needs a hammer when the job requires concrete. Hopefully this is all making sense, and it's clear that creative finance isn't just some fly-by-night, get-rich-quick scheme. Even if you get your first deal closed today, it could take 90 days to get paid for it. With creative finance, it's a short-term strategy and a long-term strategy built into one. Yes, you can buy a vacation home or a family home with the tools in this book, but you can also build an empire of 1,000 doors. Ironically, you need the same information to do either because the path to 1,000 doors starts with your first deal. These are strategies that anyone can do. I've seen people in foreclosure figure out ways to get themselves out of foreclosure with creative finance. I've seen retired people quit their jobs and make more money as an investor after retirement than they made in 40 years of work. I've seen 18-year-old kids buy rental properties while attending college. I've seen single moms build creative finance empires while working from home. It's all possible with creative finance.